Jackson. Welcome to the podcast.
Before we get started on today's podcast, let me tell you how to get in touch with us. You can subscribe to our YouTube at First Comes Love. You can also reach out to us on Instagram or TikTok, First Comes Love TCM. You can also give us a call. Leave us a voicemail at 412-568-3763. That's 412-LOVE-POD. And lastly, you can send us an email. Let's talk at firstcomeslovethenComesMarriage.com. Hey y'all, welcome to First Comes Love, Then Comes Marriage podcast. My name is Lindsey Jackson.
And I'm Aaron Jackson.
You trying to get excited.
I know, I'm so excited.
This is our final episode of season 4.
We did it.
We did it again.
Yes.
If you knew, and I say this every season, if you knew what it took to get this information out there to share with you all, to give to you all, you would also be congratulating us.
Yes,
right
a celebration.
Now. It is.
I'm going to cut you off and say, Lindsey did her thing. She is the producer of the show. She books the talent. She does all the correspondence. She is an amazing, amazing partner, human being, boss, everything. And so, congratulations to you on this final episode of season 4.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Congratulations to you, my editor, on this absolutely wonderful season that we've had. And congratulations to everyone who is listening, watching, and healing and growing with us on this journey. This season 4 was very strategic for us. The past seasons, we've talked about different things in the relationship, things that have come up in our marriage, in our dating, in our life personally. But this season, we strategically wanted to take you all on a journey. Okay, so
a journey of a relationship.
Yeah.
So we're going to start with the beginning of a relationship, with dating and getting to know somebody, to moving forward, to like going to marriage prep, engagement, and then being married, and then
honeymoon stage, but then
parenthood,
entering
and then
into
sex, and then so it's a lot that comes with a relationship. And we are in our relationship, but we're not at our final stages.
No.
And so we're still learning as we go and as we grow. You know, like what I did there. But we also we don't want to be gatekeepers of the information that we learn from. And so we decided that we're going to get this information and we're going to bring it out to people. So even if you are single, if you're single and looking, if you are in a relationship, engaged, if you've been married for years, if you're thinking about growing your family with a baby or anything like that, this podcast, this season was the season for relationships.
Yeah, and for growth and for preparation and understanding that journey. So I am so glad that we were able to do this. I'm also so grateful for the generosity of our interviewers.
Yes.
So we are going to share with you at the end of each episode that we had with the interviewers, we asked them for a gem or a nugget that they would give.
I think you said jewel.
A jewel? A gem, nugget,
yeah.
A jewel that they would share if they could, wrap all of their wisdom up. Just one, which that's a lot because these professionals are top notch in their field, and it was like share one jewel that you could give to our audience members. And so we're gonna bring those to you, all 6 interviews, but I just want to thank each and every one of them because they gave of their time and their knowledge to share. And all of them, I was gonna say most of them, but all of them gave willingly. I reached out to them and for free, right? So pour back into them by buying their book or booking a session with them, or a lot of them have individual coaching or anything like that, but just pour back into them, because really they spent years of their lives dedicated to understanding this knowledge, and they, like I said, they gave willingly, and I'm so 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 grateful.
And I think another way our audience and you and I also can honor the guests that we had for this season is take the information that they got from these individuals and learn from it and use it on their day-to-day lives. If you were thinking about having therapy, or you were questioning, and you heard Dr. Michal Terrell, I said doctor.
Soon to be doctor,
Soon to be
y'all.
doctor.
Come on now.
But you heard her speak about, in our conversation, about, if you think about it, you should probably do it, how to find the right one and stuff like that. When we were talking to Dr. Emily McKnight about dating and having that desire and not going straight into the lustful zone and stuff like that, it's taking those things. I think that's one of the greatest ways to honor them.
Yeah. So let's dive deep, and then again, each one of them left a way to reach out and contact them. So you can always reach out and contact them and let them know that you heard their episode, and then this is how you found them, and move forward from there. So let's do our first interview that we had, which was Dr. Emily McKnight. And
that's my girl.
Yes, we met her during the pandemic, and we have stayed connected with this lady from the moment she was introduced to us.
Yeah.
Okay, but that was season 4, episode 2. We need your one jewel, that you can share. I mean, you've shared so much.
Oh God.
You can say the same thing if you want. So that you can give, the people that want to be married, or the married people out there, like, what could you share about what you've learned, all that you've learned so far?
I would say my one jewel would be never give up on love. It's too beautiful. It's too powerful. It's too much opportunity to just break things generationally through love. So I would say never give up and include God in that process.
Yes. She said, it's too beautiful. It's too powerful. There's too much opportunity to break generational trauma through love, and then to include God. That was her jewel.
That's wonderful. And it's easier said than done.
Of course.
Giving up on love. And that goes both ways. That could be if you're already in a relationship, or and you're just like, I give up.
You're fed up, but don't give up.
Yeah, you're just like, I'm giving up on this love. Or you're not in a relationship, you're looking for somebody,
but you're heartbroken.
Yeah.
But don't give up. Or if you thought, okay, I'm too old and I'm past the prime that society says, to not give up on love. And her expertise is kingdom marriage. And so again, go back to that episode 2, but she talks about it, and she talks about how you can get your mind, body, spirit ready for kingdom marriage, and how it's so important to just realize the power that you hold, the power that God gives you, and to not give up on love. Oh my goodness. I know. I loved her episode.
I loved all the episodes.
I did too.
And like some of the episodes we were talking to professionals, but then like getting information, but then other episodes we were having a conversation
with friends.
And I think this one with Pastor Jordan, I think that was an episode where it was just like a conversation, like us. I've known Pastor Jordan my whole life.
Okay, so second interview was with Pastor Jordan, and that's episode 5 of season 4. So yeah, go ahead.
And so, like I was saying, like some of our interviews were just kind of like more formal, and this was a little bit more informal because we had a familiarity with him. and like he baptized me. He did the eulogy for people I've known who's died.
He was the videographer for our wedding.
He was the videographer for our wedding.
Yeah.
Like, he's always been one of the pastors in our lives at the church that we grew up in, Faithful Central. And he has so much knowledge. I mean, so much knowledge when it comes to relationships and the marriage counseling.
Yes.
So what was his, like, out of all your wisdom, out of all your experience, and they were like, we're looking for you for advice, what kind of advice would you give?
First thing I would tell them is you got to make sure, number one, that you actually love each other. You just don't like each other. You love each other. And that's at the core. Once you get that established, then you have to say, okay, if we're going to get married, we need to understand what marriage is all about. Yeah, you may have parents that have been married, but their marriage may not have been the best. And that would be your only pattern for that. So you need to go through that, and you need to talk to married couples. Talk to married couples that have been married for 4 or 5 years. Talk to married couples that have been married 40 years. You'll get different perspectives, and it will help you understand the challenges in the whole situation.
Okay, so Pastor Jordan's jewel was to make sure you love each other, not just like each other. So we talked about the difference between like and love. And he's going back to love, because love is deeper than that. And he said, talk to married couples, people who have been married for 5 years, people who have been married for 40 years, and understand what marriage is. And so this season, the trajectory of marriage is so vast, and everyone's marriage is different. But when you talk to multiple people and you understand that it could look like this, it could look like this, you're getting different perspectives. That's when you grow. That's when you allow yourself to open up and say, oh, it doesn't just look like the 30-second reel that Instagram is showing me where we are matching and holding hands. It doesn't just look like us going out to dinners together. No. Talk to real people. And I would start at church, at home. I talked about this in previous episodes, but I am in a group at our New York-based church home where we Zoom every Thursday, and it's marriages that are young, marriages that have been together, like I said, 40 years, and they talk about this is the span of what marriage looks like. And people don't think like, oh, what does marriage look like when I'm 58? But that was Pastor Jordan's jewel.
Yeah, what I took from that jewel mostly was, I'm not always gonna like you, but that love kind of gets me past that, almost like sometimes it's pettiness, or past that, dislike because of this, and it brings me, just remembering and holding on to that love can bring me back to like. Yeah. And because love is so strong. So I almost feel like it's immaturity to be like, oh, I don't like you, I'm giving up, I'm stopping this, because I know that love conquers all. Yeah. So.
And we've talked about this before. It's not about like, and it's not about being happy, not in marriage. Because sometimes they say, well, are you happy? It's not about being happy. It's about the vows that we took in marriage that we stand on through the difficult times. And that's premarital counseling, because it's preparing you for that. The good times, like he said, will handle themselves. But the bad times, that's when you dive deep into the foundation that you laid for the marriage. So, his jewel. Yeah. Okay.
And you know what? I think about that, and you know how, like, with family, like, I don't like you, but I love you, type of thing, especially with siblings. And that brings us to our third jewel. Third jewel. Yeah, our sibling.
Come on, my sister too.
My sister, her sister, the family and
marriage and family
therapist, Michal
Terrell, y'all.
Michal Terrell.
She shared a lot. Okay,
man. And what I'm talking
8.
about, this was the episode where I was like, man, Lindsey, you comfortable with Michal?
I love Michal so much, and she knows this. We've been friends before we were sisters, and now we're friends again. So I could give it to her straight. And I feel that way, and I feel like she can give it to me
She
straight.
was giving it back.
She was giving it back,
right
and we could give it to each other. So I love her. And episode 8, we went in because she has a profession. She's a therapist, marriage and family therapist, that I actually, it's been weird for me to understand just because of my trauma. And I respect her. So it's not about the respect. It's about, just diving deep and understanding a little bit more about it. Okay, so if there was one thing that you could share about therapy for family or marriages or individuals, like what would you tell them? What would you share?
What would I share? I would share, and this is like when looking for a therapist, make sure you're asking your therapist questions. Like the very first session, don't let it go by with them just asking you questions. You want to find out who this person is, what their qualifications are, right? And even one of the best questions to ask after like maybe you're talking to them is, have you ever worked with somebody who has gone through what I've gone through? Are these experiences new to you, or are you familiar with? Because you really want to know if this person is going back to their textbooks to see how to figure this out, or they already have some kind of understanding on how to work with you.
Right. She goes deeper into it, y'all, but it was so pivotal because therapy is something that you shouldn't go into. Let me not speak for her because you got to go back and listen to the episode. But it is something that you should ask questions about. And if you're thinking about it, she says go into it and figure it out. And it doesn't have to be something that you give up on if it's like it's not working the first time. I don't need it. Keep trying. That
was a key thing about that episode. It was kind of like finding therapists, knowing that there are different styles of therapy, and the difference between therapy and coaching,
mentoring.
Yeah, and that question of, have you dealt with somebody who had this problem, or someone like me, or what are your qualifications? Because sometimes you might need somebody with experience, or sometimes you need that person to grow with you and learn with you.
Well, she was saying, it's like, okay, do you want someone who just wants to give you their book knowledge, or do you want someone who has had experience with it? Because what are their qualifications? Are they just going to go back to text and they don't really know how to handle it? Or are they going to actually say like, okay, I've been here before, and these are the tools and the skills that I can give you to help you succeed.
But also, I feel like sometimes it's always about finding the right fit.
Yeah.
Because I feel like some people, if they been there, done that, they give you their textbook because they're like, they put you in that category of this is their problem. Okay, this is how I solve that problem. Instead of like somebody who's new, who's trying to learn, they're more invested in trying to help you figure it out. But you never know, because it's up to you and your therapist, and finding the right fit is almost like dating. It's finding the right fit and communicating your needs to that therapist.
That's what she said. Ask questions. Don't let the session be all the therapist asking you questions and then you never had that conversation. So that was an episode that had a lot of yes ands, kind of strategic answers, but it was so valuable, and that was a lot.
Yeah, that's my girl.
Episode 8. Okay?
Michael did amazing.
Okay. Next episode that's episode 13. We're coming up on sex therapy with Dr. Donna. Is what gem can you share for couples, for intimate couples in particular, just that you have learned over your years of experience in the field that you could share as far as a healthy healing, or even just anything that you might be able to share that might help their journey?
I guess it goes back to something that I said earlier that I already know is an unpopular opinion. You are not the sun in your partner's universe. We are our own sun. We need to center ourselves. Otherwise, we fall out of orbit. You can be one of the most important things to your partner, but nothing will be more important than they are, because they have to do for themselves in order to even give to you. So
that was a lot.
It was a lot. When I heard it, it was because when you think about sex and when you think about pleasure, it's kind of self pleasure and things of that sort.
Yeah.
But her point was, you have to take care of yourself in order to give to others. And so to that factor, your partner can't be everything, the end all be all to pleasuring you. It can't be all about you. But then at the same time, you have to take care of you. That's what I took from her. Jewel.
Yeah. I like that they were kind of together, the two therapists, a couple of episodes away from each other, because it focuses on the healing of oneself. Even though I am with you, I still need to have healing in myself and come correct and know how to process things the way that I process them, and how me processing might affect the way I perform in the bedroom, or the way I want to be intimate. And do I want to be touched? Do I want to be consoled? Do I want to be left alone? Stuff like that. And also, like, how do I deal with grief? Do I start an argument with you because I'm upset and stuff like that? So those two episodes really talk to me, and it reminds me as we go forward in the whole season, it's kind of like Lindsey can't be my everything.
Yeah.
That expectation is too high. She cannot be my superwoman. She cannot be my savior. She cannot be my everything. That's what God is for. And so I shouldn't be replacing her with God, and having her and putting all that weight on her. Is like, I'm sad, you're supposed to make me feel better. I'm bored, you're supposed to entertain me. I'm hungry, you're supposed to feed me. All these things. I'm sick, you're supposed to heal me. That's not for her. And I felt like that was a really important jewel, to make sure that you know that there is a realistic expectation.
Yes. And
you are a human being, and you have your flaws, but you also fearfully and wonderfully made.
Thank you, baby. Okay, so that was the jewel from Dr. Donna. Moving on to the 5th interview we had, and that was with Dr. Maura Jones. That's episode 16. This is our OBGYN, y'all. And she said, her jewel. Okay. We want to ask you, this is how we close it every time, is what's one jewel that you could share with a couple or a woman that would help smooth into this next transition in their life?
One jewel. I would say trust your instincts. I feel like I tell everyone this, like, I have, of course, like, studied for a million years, but at the end of the day, you are the expert on you, and you know your body, you know, like, what is not normal, what feels off. And so if at any time, like, something feels off or not right, trust your gut, trust your instinct, and know that you are right and you're the expert on your body, and you tell me. I think that's like my general rule for like life and like pregnancy. I'm like, you are the expert in yourself.
I've heard that so many times through my pregnancy, and that was, talking about therapy and everything, that was a little bit triggering for me, because I was not told that from the beginning, right?
Yeah.
And so now I have to go back and kind of recondition my mind to say, like, you're right. I know. And I mean, I've trained myself to do this now. I trust my instincts. I go back to the doctor over and over again, right? We did this in California. Something is wrong. You telling me something's okay. I'm telling you something is wrong. And I think those instincts are not just for pregnancy, even though she was talking about the pregnancy. The instincts are trusting my instincts when it comes to my family. We talked about this when, maybe we didn't talk about this, but when it came to my son, when it came to action in school, we kind of knew one of his teachers was a little bit off, and we let it ride and we didn't say anything. But in the end, I mean, it all worked out. But trusting our instincts and doing something about it, whether it's that speaking up, whether that's going to someone else, whatever it is, but doing something about it, because especially like parental instincts, right? We're like, parental instincts are right. That's what I'm gonna say.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like this one, the trust your gut, trust your instincts, is very important, and I really like this jewel because it almost talks about, to me, the imposter syndrome. It's kind of like, oh, I'm a first time mom, I'm a first time dad, I don't really know what I'm doing. But the truth is, nobody really knows what they're doing. So you need to trust your instincts and know that you are the expert on you. And once you start speaking up for yourself, or once I start speaking up for myself, I started realizing that, other people don't know. And if they don't know, or if I feel this way, I'm the expert on me. I know how I feel. I know what this does for me. And so I'm gaining more knowledge, but I'm also gaining more confidence in who I am and trusting myself. One thing that I always used to say was, if everybody else is against you, why should you add on to that team? Right? So always believing in myself, always like even with this podcast, this podcast isn't going to make money, or it's not going to get streamed 100 million times and stuff like that. Right. And to me, I'm like, I'm not going to be the person saying that.
Say. It's the best podcast out there, y'all.
Podcast out there.
Number one relationship podcast all over the world.
Let them know. 5-star, okay. Highly rated.
Look now, and when you say it, it boosts me up, and then I say it, I believe it, I don't care.
Yeah, because it's kind of like, I'm the expert on me.
Yes.
And so I think that's a really important one, especially when it comes to things that you're unsure about, back to therapy, or back to even back to like Pastor Jordan, or back to Emily McKnight. If you have a feeling and it's like something's off, if something's off and you're going to marital counseling and you're like, something's off, it might be off and you might finish the thing, but that's offers to be off. And you're in a relationship and you're getting to know somebody and something's off, you have to trust that. You have to investigate it.
Exactly.
Yes, you have to speak up.
It might not be, and not to say that you know it all, right?
Yeah.
But when you speak up, you open that door for communication, for space to understand, well, what is it? And then you have an open mind about it, and you can go in there at least knowing, okay, let's talk about this. Okay? So, that's a good one.
And the last one.
Ooh, okay, the last one. This is our 6th interview that we did this season, was best-selling author Eve Rodsky. I learned from these, but the one jewel that you would say to people who are married or wanting to be married, because a lot of our audience, they're like listening to us because they love and they're trying to figure it out and get all of the drops before they even, get there. What would you give to women and men,
I think what I will say about the jewel that I'm thinking a lot about now is how important it is to push back against society's view of you as just a role. Again, you're not just a breadwinner, you're not just a parent, you're not just a partner, you're not just a professional, and to push back against that guilt and shame.
So she builds on that.
Okay. Because one of the biggest things was that very last line when she said, "Stop the guilt and shame," because it's so heavy, that outside guilt of, I'm a dad and you're a mom. Oh, why do you need somebody to come in and help clean the house? Why do you need a nanny if you're a mother and stuff like that? It's like people from back in the day or stuff like this. Why do you need help? Right. You're in a partnership. You're in a great relationship. Why do you need outside help from other people? And it's almost like shaming us for doing things that we know to be right for our situation and us.
Absolutely.
And people only see they only see their perspective. They don't see the whole marriage. And we say this multiple times, that every marriage is different. So seeing this and adding your own guilt or adding shame to somebody, but what Eve was saying, it was just kind of like, let go of that stuff.
Yeah, I like her jewel. spanned throughout all of the interviews, because it's like, if the OBGYN said, if people are shaming you because you're not breastfeeding, don't do that.
Yeah.
If people are shaming you because, okay, well, I have sex don't do that. And it keeps going.
Are shaming you because you don't have sex.
Because exactly, right. Because, I'm still a virgin, or I do, because we've dealt with these things and outside views, right? So take that away. And her jewel was so great because it's really self-reflective. And that's what we've been doing. We're having this awareness of self and understanding, okay, who am I? Who has God called me to be? And then removing that guilt, removing that shame, and saying, okay, you know what? I'm going to, her coin, unicorn space, I'm going to take this time to develop my friendship with someone. And I'm okay with not being a mother for these couple of hours, or, putting that aside. So, her jewel was definitely pivotal to growth in life as we grow older as adults. I wasn't thinking about necessarily guilt and shame when I was in my 20s, because I was living my life. But now as I'm in my 30s, I'm like, I have responsibilities, but at the same time, I am a person. I'm an individual person.
And as this individual person, as we wrap up this fourth season, I want to know, what is one of the jewels that you have? You don't have to elaborate on it, but what's the jewel that you're going to leave the audience with until the next season?
Oh my goodness. Right? Oh, okay. What jewel would I have for our audience for the next season? This year, my word was calmness.
Yes.
Okay. And I am proud of myself because 6 months in, we're in June, I have remained calm mostly.
There we go.
That
is a great choice of words.
Yes, I get excited and I'm passionate, but I remain calm. And so I just want to, I would say, take the time. You can, and this is the thing about time. We said time is event management, and you put the time in where you want to put the time in, right? You can't say I don't have time. You make time for what you want to make time for, but put the time in to taking care of yourself. Just a little bit of time for self. I have done that this season. I have been juggling here, and everywhere with the house and the kids and everything like that. But I really appreciate me. I'm so grateful. I'm so thankful that God has allowed me to understand that it's important for me to have me time. And this isn't a lot of time. I'm talking 5 minutes of time, but it does everything for me. So time for you. That's my jewel. What's your jewel, babe?
I asked you the question knowing that you were going to ask me back, and I still am doing some uhs and ums. I feel like my jewel this season would be, it's so many things that I learned over this.
We learned a lot. I hope you all did too. Go back and listen.
I feel like, I guess the best one is to take your time, prioritize, and listen. Those will be like my three things. Like, I don't have to rush into everything. I need to prioritize the information that I'm even getting, and I need to make sure I listen to my gut, listen to my elders, listen to strong advice, and then I can proceed to go on. Sometimes just rushing into things and not taking my times, and I might rush into the wrong thing at the wrong time. And so that's where the priority comes in. I might be focusing on my career when I should be focusing on my love life. I should be focusing on, or vice versa. I should be focusing on my sons and nurturing them instead of focusing on my health, or vice versa. Stuff like that. And listening to my body, or listening to the doctors, or listening to my wife and stuff like that. because people tell you who they are. So some, like, I think you mentioned this last episode, you were getting burnt out. If I wasn't paying attention and listening to you, I would never notice that. And then even with me listening to it, I had to prioritize it and put it on a different level. I could have been focusing on something else, like, oh, you know, I need to make sure that I'm doing the housework and stuff like that. But no, I had to make my priorities straight and make sure I listen to you. And I feel like people should be taking their time and focusing on stuff like that. So that's my joy.
Thank y'all for joining us on this our finale episode of season 4. We're so happy that you were able to go through this journey with us. As always, please do reach out to us and let us know anything that you're looking for, anything that you liked, that you learned, that you want to hear and see in season 5, because we are coming back. You can DM us on Instagram, First Comes Love, TCM.
You can always call our voicemail and give us encouragement, or tell us about what you learned on this pod, or you could answer the Am I Wrongs?
Yeah.
That number is 412-LOVE-POD. That is 412-5683-763.
Or you can email us if you like to write. I love to read messages. And like I said, we are on in the off season. So we are always reading, corresponding, taking information. Email us. Let's talk. First comes love, then comes marriage.com. See you next season.